It feels like 49 degrees outside.
Information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Showers, even a storm later this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies today. Highs in the upper 50s. A southeast wind at 10 to 20 miles an hour. New rain today between a quarter and a half an inch. Showers and storms tonight. Temperatures in the upper 30s. Southeast winds will shift from the northwest after midnight at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Rain likely Saturday before the afternoon hours. Temperatures in the upper 40s. Sunday sunny, highs in the mid 60s, and Monday partly sunny. Temperatures again in the upper 60s. Across central Illinois as we continue through this Friday morning. Right now, cloudy skies. It's 49 degrees in Bloomington, 48 in Hayworth, 49 in Leroy, 51 in Farmer City, 55 in Champaign and Monticello, 55 in Decatur, 54 in Mount Pulaski, 51 in Lincoln, 55 in Springfield, and 57 in Peoria. 51, partly cloudy in Clinton. Feels like 49 outside. East winds are calm, 94% humidity, and 10 miles of visibility on this Friday. Weather anytime is at DeWittDailyNews.com.
The days are getting shorter, and as we prepare to spend more time inside, that means respiratory infections like cough, cold, fever, and the flu. Warner Hospital CEO Paul Skowron here to remind you of our walk-in clinic, which is here to treat those respiratory infections quickly and close to home. The best part? No appointments needed. The Warner Hospital walk-in clinic, just inside our family medicine building in Clinton, can treat you for those symptoms without an appointment. Get to the Warner Hospital walk-in clinic and get feeling better fast.
Life is uncertain. Stop in and see me, State Farm Agent Jason France, on the west side of the Clinton Square, or click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and see how our full lineup of State Farm insurance and financial services can help protect your family.
Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app.
It takes balance to be successful in farming, because what you get out of it depends on what you put in. And Corteva Agriscience gets that. Introducing Nutritia and Nutrient Efficiency Optimizer, a biological product that naturally captures nitrogen from the air. It's a sustainable way to add balance to your traditional nitrogen methods and maximize your yield potential. Embrace a balanced approach to nitrogen management this season by visiting corteva.us.
Have you been cleaning out closets recently? Bring any donations to Love It Once More thrift store in Clinton, and we'll give you a card worth 10% off your next purchase. This is Connie reminding you that by helping our nonprofit store, you can save 10%. See us on Facebook or DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is Ryan Utterback with Utterback Real Estate. It's that time of year again.
Ah, that's right. I forgot to change my clocks.
No, I mean it's time to spring forward and list your home.
No wonder I've been late all week.
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
Click the Utterback Real Estate icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
This is Brad from Gibson Ace Hardware in Clinton, Illinois. Stop in to see us, the helpful place at 114 North Madison Street, Clinton.
Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the Big 1520 daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus, streamed on DeWittDailyNews.com, the WHOW mobile app, and Amazon Alexa. Plus, tune in for Best of Clinton Sports broadcast every Saturday morning at 10. All brought to you by Liberty Village, Nan Crane with Remax Choice, the 217 Home Team, Warner Hospital and Health Services, and Covenant Animal Clinic.
Today's morning show can be heard by downloading the free WHOW mobile app in your favorite store.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. On this segment of the morning show with me is Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. Mr. Mayor, good to talk to you, sir. How you doing?
You as well. Doing great stuff. How about you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. Appreciate you making time and coming on with us. It's always good to catch up on the latest happenings in the city of Lincoln. And speaking of latest happenings in the city of Lincoln, Mr. Mayor, some exciting news from earlier this week. I know tragedy struck one of your grocery stores last week, and they have literally risen from the ashes and reopened earlier this week. What's going on?
Yeah, I think you just said it nicely. Anybody who's been paying attention knows that a fire was set to the Lincoln IGA last year, and fortunately they caught the individual that did it. And then the family that owns it, Charlie Lee and his family, they took that structure down to the bones. They rebuilt it completely up from the ashes, and Lincoln is glad to have them back. They reopened up last Monday, and we had a ribbon cutting for them earlier this week as well.
Very exciting, Mr. Mayor. And so from your perspective, what does that mean for the community? Because, for folks that know Lincoln, it's just off of the downtown square. But if you're on that side of town, you almost have to go all the way across town to do any grocery shopping. So what does that mean for the community and the folks in that neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, the people that live there, they'd have a 10+ minute commute over to the other side of town by the time you factor traffic and lights and things. And Walmart is the only other option in town. It has been during COVID and since IGA burnt down. And so what that means is now people, they can spend less time traveling. They can still get good quality food and products up at IGA. They have a deli that's phenomenal up there and lunch specials that they do out of that deli. And it just brings another option for shopping over to this side of town, which is great. And it brought back those jobs that were lost before. And so, multifaceted, but it's just all positive for Lincoln.
Very good. So that's fantastic news, Mr. Mayor, and Lincoln IGA is back. So anything on that, by the way, that we haven't touched on, anything on the kind of history of, of course, the incident from last year, it's that to me, it's just impressive that, 1 year later, they're back up and going. That is phenomenal.
It is. And, the odd part about it is this is not the first time that they've had to rebuild and reopen that store. They've had incidents that caused them to go through the same thing. So when the store was caught on fire by somebody that broke in, it was heart sinking. I felt so bad for Charlie and those guys. And to hear him say, you know what? It doesn't matter. We came back before. We're going to come back again.
Mm-hmm.
It was just great.
I was just going to say that's a lot of resolve for him and his family. Goodness gracious.
I mean, I went up there the day of the fire, and that's what he told me that day. So they knew they weren't going to let that set them back. And, that's just a testament to what kind of people they are, how much they care about the community. And so we're just very fortunate to have not only another option, but Charlie and his family as well.
I don't know if I know Charlie or not, to be honest with you, Mr. Mayor. I was trying to the name sounds familiar, but anyways, that just was kind of thinking about that as we're talking here for this morning. But anyways, Mr. Mayor, anything on Lincoln IGA reopening that we haven't touched on you want to put out there for us?
Nope, that's it.
Very good. Well, Mr. Mayor, let's dive into the city beginning to look at the next fiscal year and budgeting. What does this process look like? When do you have to have a budget put together? All those things. How about that?
Well, this is the thing we got to do every year to make sure that we're accounting for the things that we need to operate the city, from anything from the amount of salt that we have to pay for to prepare for the winter, to gas for police vehicles, safety equipment, and salaries, benefits. We gotta account for all that. And so we have a wonderful treasurer. His name is Chuck Conzo, and he spearheads our budget every year. And so he sits down with department heads, myself as the mayor, the clerk, and others, and we just go through what our needs are for the year, and he tells us whether we can or cannot do it financially. And so we have that process underway.
So when you come to him and say, hey, can we afford a new firehouse, a new city hall, and like things like that, he's probably telling you no then, right?
Well, when you say new firehouse, he probably clutches his chest and then says, "Oh no."
I think every fire department around these parts wants a new firehouse, so he's not the only one getting that question, I bet.
You never know. That could be a topic we talk about in the future, because actually we did purchase a piece of land right next to City Hall with, that being a possibility. But, my request as the mayor, for at least what's under my purview, is we have council chambers, and we've been spending time upgrading our audio equipment up there. And so I made a request for several $1,000s for that. I made a request for salary because we're in the process of hiring a new administrative assistant. So mine are very small, but we do have like the police department. They're buying police vehicles. That's something that we've done on a cycle for quite a while.
Right.
And every department just has needs that they need to run those departments.
Yeah.
And support the city.
For a size of community that's not like Champaign, Decatur, Bloomington, Springfield, Peoria type of places, Lincoln really has some of the nicest police cars that I can think of, Mr. Mayor. I mean, you guys are riding in style over there.
Well, it used to be the process up until, several years ago, was that we would just buy a vehicle and then we would ride it to death.
Right.
And what we learned was that taking that approach really nickels and dimes us to death in maintenance once those vehicles get up in mileage. But, it's not just that, it's hours, because those vehicles sit idle too, quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were approached by our police department chief at the time and deputy chief, and they said, "Hey, look, if we can go through a lease program and cycle those through every few years, over the course of several years, we'll rebuild our fleet and we'll have newer vehicles that in most cases won't be any older than 3 years."
Right.
And so we've started that process. We're getting towards, I'd say halfway toward the middle of it. But this year we had to switch models. We've been going with Dodges, and I think we're going to have to go with Fords this year, simply because of COVID and the back order of vehicles, the demand of what's out there. So we do have nice vehicles, but they're lease vehicles, and the idea is to save us money.
Well, to that end, Mr. Mayor, let's just kind of get an overview of the Lincoln budget. What is the budget in total? Ballpark in a given year. Where do your revenues come from? What are some of your big expenses that you have to account for at a city level? How about just some of those things?
Well, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I mean, it's a $20+ million budget that we have to operate every year. We have to be very, very, I guess, picky where we spend our money, because, as you know, with government and municipalities, our money comes from things like property taxes, sales taxes, the unfortunate, depending on who you talk to, video gaming tax. It's just, it's a number of sources. We also have things like tickets when police officers write tickets, code violations, grants that we receive. So there's a number of sources that make up at least the income of our budget. And, we have a healthy budget. We have had that for several years now. And the reason why is because we don't spend beyond our means when we don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And things that we do have to buy and spend money on, we come up with creative ways to do that won't break the bank per se.
For sure. So when it comes to the budgeting process, Mr. Mayor, folks probably wonder, we joked about the new fire station and those sorts of things. And sometimes it's fun to dream about that, but you actually have to take on some projects in a year, given year. And I know in the past it's been the sewer project, if I'm not mistaken. That's been one that's been taken on. I know there's some ongoing things. What's on the radar for, say, bigger projects that you're going to have to start thinking about as you get into this budget cycle?
Well, that's the thing about the budget, is we have the ability to sit back and kind of forecast how things are going to be. But just like with everyday life, things come up at the city that we didn't expect. So we do try to plan a little bit for that. But one of the things that I think is going to come up on our radar within the next year that we're going to have to financially plan for is Fifth Street Road. So you and I have talked about that, I believe, multiple times, and we are very close to the end of parcel acquisition. So once we have all of those pieces of land, then we got to figure out how to break ground, and that costs money. So that'll be, last estimate, I think it was over $2 million before COVID. So again, that's something that we're going to have to plan for and figure out how to fund our matching portion of that project.
Yeah, that's good to hear that that's kind of on the radar for this coming year, because like we've talked about in the past, that's a long-standing need in the community. So sounds like some movement could be coming there this year then.
Well, I'm being optimistic. We've now made contact with all the people that we were having some challenges with, and things are moving. I hope to have that parcel stuff wrapped up in the next couple of years or months. And then, from a planning perspective, the treasurer will have a task on his hands where they'll have to explore some financing options, whether that be GO bonds, whether we can do that over the course of a number of years. I mean, we try to explore every avenue before we make a decision.
Sure. Very good. Mr. Mayor, I'll tell you what, let's take a time out here. Perhaps we can dive more into the budget, but I know there's other things going on in the city of Lincoln that we can talk about next. So we'll do that on the other side of a break with Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch on the WHOW Morning Show. It streams live to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network on this Friday. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all trading lower at this hour. May corn, 746 down 8.5. July corn down 7.11 3/4. December corn, 641 down 4. May beans, 1660 3/4, down 7 3/4. July beans down a nickel, 1642 1/4. November beans, 1462 3/4, down 6.5. May wheat, 1082 down 16. July wheat down 14 1/4, 1061 3/4. May bean meal, 476 up 190. May bean oil, 73.05. That's down $1.58. In the livestock market at this hour, April live cattle, 139.50 up 2 cents. March feeders up 32 cents, 156.87. April lean hogs, $100.82 up 47 cents. In the outside markets, May Brent crude oil up 41 cents at this hour, 107.05. Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio.
New trucks and SUVs are coming here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. This is Scott Baum. Yes, we have new inventory arriving, and you can see what will arrive right on our website. Just click on the pre-order and reserve tab. From there, you'll find vehicles in transit and vehicles in production. Or just call our sales staff and we'll help. Find Silverados, Equinoxes, Blazers, including Tahoes and Suburbans, as well as our complete Buick line of SUVs. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
This is Pastor Paul Stroop, Clinton Presbyterian Church. Allow me to lead us in a word of prayer. Oh God, we pray for all those impacted during this pandemic. Remind us what it means to live in community and help us to have concern for others above ourselves. During these challenging times, guide us to spread hope and not fear, to find unity, not division. Give us the courage, the strength, and an unwavering trust in you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Tell Amazon Alexa, play WHOW Radio to hear the morning show and all our programming right there on your Amazon Echo.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest on the phone is Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. The morning show, by the way, streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Mr. Mayor, it is it's negotiation time with your unions. Talk a little bit about what's going on there, some of the latest talks, and all those things.
Yeah, don't have a lot of details yet to share with you about that because they're just getting into that. And we certainly don't want to jeopardize our negotiations. But it is time to do a renewal. We did 3 years before. I suspect we'll be looking at 3 years again with them. You know, we have 3 unions: police, fire, and streets and alleys. And in years past, this year is going to be a little different. In years past, we've had the department head plus an alderman, and they speak with each of those individual unions. So there's 3 little teams, I guess you could say. And this year, we're going to try things a little different. There'll still be those little teams, but we've collaborated with all of them together on our side to make sure that we're getting some consistency across all of our contracts. That's at least the intention. I think it helps us budget better. It helps us be a little bit more fiscally responsible while still, you know, telling our unions that we value you as employees.
Absolutely. And so why we talked about this before we got back on the air, Mr. Mayor. You know, you mentioned this isn't stuff that the public, you know, it's not often, you know, great content in terms of discussions, but it's really vital. Why is that? Why are these negotiations so important? And I think you just touched on it a little bit there, but elaborate a little more on that.
Well, you know, and I'll just give you my opinion on it. I'm sure everybody's got a different opinion, but the fact of the matter is we do have 3 unions, and each of those unions have different requests and needs, and their contracts reflect those. But at the end of the day, these are community members, they're valued members of the city, and they have families that they're trying to raise. And so we want to make sure that they feel compensated while the city is also ensuring that we're protecting our needs as well. And, you know, that's what the negotiations are, is kind of a little bit of a dance, I guess you could say, in that we just get to the table, we talk about things, and hopefully we end up in a place that both sides are comfortable with.
Very good. Well, Mr. Mayor, as we wrap up our conversation, I know there were a few other talking points. Real quickly, tell us about the vacancy on the council that you'll be looking to fill and the process for doing so.
Yeah, this is one of the things that the mayors get to deal with, and that's when members come onto the council or they leave, then, you know, we have to swear them in. But in this case, we have a alderman who had to resign. They moved out of the ward that they represent, and that's by law, they have to do that. So now we'll go through the process to fill that seat on the council. I've got, by statute, 60 days to do that. So I need to identify somebody to fill that seat, someone I think could represent that ward well. And so we've started that process, seeking out candidates, and we will see where we land. But ultimately, whoever I choose, it's a recommendation to the council, and the council has to vote them in.
Very good. So we'll look forward to perhaps hearing about that placement here in the next month or two, Mr. Mayor, when we catch up then. And, you know, as we were talking before we got we came back on, the weather is just fantastic the last week or so. And I mentioned to you that, you know, the National Weather Service folks keep telling me that this is going to be a warmer than normal spring, perhaps a touch wet. But, you know, if the temperatures are right, you brought up a great point. Your golf cart ordinance could really see the fruits of its labor from the last year this spring. How about that?
Yeah, I have kind of kept an eye out as I've been driving around town during this nice weather, and I'm waiting to see that first golf cart on the street. As people know, we passed that last year, and there have been a number of people that have come to City Hall and had their golf cart inspected and got a permit to operate it on the street. So curious to see how that goes. We've also got some businesses that have started to specialize in golf carts in town as well. And so, you know, time will tell where we land on that, but I'm optimistic, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So could see those out and about, and just kind of remind us, Mr. Mayor, what some of the restrictions are on those, because Lincoln's got a lot of main roads and things of that nature. What do folks need to keep in mind if they're going to get those pulled out here sooner than they may be anticipated?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, you really got to think about golf carts in the city of Lincoln like a car, and you have to have a license, you have to have insurance, it has to go through an inspection process with the police department before you can even get a permit from the city of Lincoln. But, once you get past that process and you do hit the roads, as you mentioned, Seth, we have some state highways that run through Lincoln, a number of them actually. And so the general rule is stay off the main roads, but you're free to cross them to get to those other residential areas.
Very good. So very good. And like we've talked about here in Clinton, those have to be certified through the police and licensed and all of that. So Mr. Mayor, I'm going to let you go for the day. Always good to have you on the program. Thank you so much for taking time with us.
Sounds great. You have a great weekend.
You do the same. Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch, my guest on the phone. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton.
South Peak, 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM, W293 DJ Normal Bloomington.